Hey, 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 tough and the out of this world story from Street Travel. There are ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in Street Travel. I am your host Manir.
Story 1. Update. My husband dead on Friday afternoon. Original post. Around 5 p.m. on June 14th, he went into the bathroom, locked the door, and then collapsed. I heard him fall. I tried for a few seconds to get the door open, but I couldn't. I called 911 and they got here pretty quickly. One of the paramedics kicked the door in, but it was too late. We both have had some type of bug and had not been feeling well for the last few days. He had taken some cold medicine, so I'm assuming he had a heart attack. I just don't know for sure. He was only 57. It seems strange that his passing would not be a big deal worldwide. Like, how is CNN talking about politics and not Jeff? The world has lost a truly great man. A very rare man. Can't you all feel it? The whole wide world is darker. Jeff was a good, kind, honorable man. Honest to God. He was the smartest man I've ever met. He was so sweet and tender-hearted. He loved me like no man has ever loved a woman. He was faithful and funny. Oh my goodness, no one could make me laugh like he did. He was the most quick-witted person ever. He was a wonderful father, friend, and cat daddy, even though he said he hated cats and was super mad every time I added one to the family, only to have him be the head snuggler in a few days. I went through his phone and he had more pictures of our kitties than he did of even our grandbabies. Several years ago, he and his best friend started a company. This left him interacting with the often chronically unemployed as well as heads up for government. I always marveled that he showed absolutely no difference in his interactions. The homeless man who was applying for work was treated exactly the same as the mayor. No errors, no pretension. The moment he shook your hand, you were counted as a friend, just honest, simple kindness. He had a comfortable friendliness about him that instantly put people at ease. He also had an unexplainable air of authority about him. People naturally just fell in line behind him. He was a born leader. People did what he told them to do, usually without question. One story that always comes to my mind when I think about his seemingly otherworldly authority that left others comfortable and confident, knowing he was in charge and he would handle it. Recently, we had a story in our local news about a child who lost a leg in an accident. Jeff donated the money to provide a prosthetic on the one condition. You can't tell anyone where the money came from. We are far from being wealthy. In fact, as little as 5 years ago, we were nearly completely bankrupt after he endured a very long medical illness. Every single cent we had was gone, all of our savings and retirement. During his illness, his company took the first opportunity to let him go. He was sick, and there we were without a dime or insurance. He got better, then set out to open his own company so that he could make sure this particular job and community need was met. He wanted to provide the service with integrity. He did. By the second year in business, he made more money than in the 5 years combined. He was a workhorse. He gave 200% to every single project and worked sometimes 18 to 19-hour days. He did it cheerfully because he knew he could help people. He was such a blessing to everyone who met him. I'm a mess. I'm so afraid and confused. I don't know how to handle any of this. He handled everything. I had a rough childhood. Early on, it was as if his mission in life was to make me happy. He spoiled me, not just with things, but with himself. In all of these years, I can't think of a single moment in time that he did not put me first. I tried to always keep tabs on him before I called him because I knew that if he was in a meeting or in the middle of a big presentation, it didn't matter if it was with the governor or the mayor or of any combination of big wigs. If my number popped up on his caller ID, he would stop the meeting and take my call. It was so sweet, but it was also embarrassing to know that you stopped and an important presentation just asked something as simple as, "What would you like for dinner?" I had asked him over and over again to just let my calls go to voicemail if he wasn't alone, even promising that if there were ever an actual emergency, I would text him 911 first. He still answered my call. It always made me feel not just loved, but adored. I called his closest friends to let them know. I've literally heard more grown men openly weeping in the last day than I ever have in my whole life combined. I'm so afraid of the future without him. He was my everything. My whole life has been playing a supporting role to his ambitions. I don't have any idea how to deal with the finances, what to do about the brand new truck he bought 6 months ago. I don't know what to do about anything, and I'm so afraid I can't live without him. But mostly I'm afraid that I don't want to live without him. I am so sorry for your loss. Losing a loved one is always tough, and I know that you'll get through this, and I wish you all the best in the world. Now for the advice before reading the update. Something you said really struck me. Why isn't CNN talking about Jeff? My brother dead in January after being diagnosed only 2 weeks earlier with pancreatic cancer. All 8 of his siblings were just numb like zombies. He was so young and healthy. I remember driving with my sister and thinking, why is this world still working? Joe is dying, nothing else matters. I'm sorry for your loss. He was clearly everything to you. I'm happy you had something so valuable to you. I know not everyone gets this. I regularly see my brother's face when I close my eyes. He was my business partner and best friend. I will miss him every day of my life. That was his gift to me. This was beautiful to read. I am so sorry for your loss. It sounds like you had a wonderful husband. And despite the sadness of your loss, hearing all the good he brought to you, to his friends, to his community, brings me joy. The world lost a good one. He may not be on the news, but people around the world are reading your words and shedding a tear for him. This breaks my heart and brings back some painful memories. I'm so sorry. I lost my fiancé 5 years ago, and I thought the whole world was ending. I couldn't understand how people could just keep right on living when such an amazing person had just left them. Time should have stopped. The universe should have bowed its head and wept. But none of that happened. Things outside my head just kept on going like they always had. At first it infuriated me. How dare the universe disrespect his memory and continue as though nothing had happened? I dreamt of him every night. Most of the time he didn't know he was dead, and I had to tell him. Eventually the dream slowed. I began to take comfort in the fact that death wasn't the end of everything, and that the world kept moving. Finally, so could I. It will be difficult, and you'll have to relearn how to live, but ask for help if you need it. Cry and scream and rant all you like. Don't forget self-care. Do what you need to make yourself feel better. It does get easier. You'll never forget, and you will always miss him, but it becomes bearable. Remember that we all grieve in our own time, and don't let people rush you through the process or tell you that you aren't doing it right. Your pain, your loss, your process. There is light at the end of that long dark tunnel, even if you can't see it yet. You just have to remember to keep going. This brought tears to my eyes. It reminds me of how scared I am to lose my partner. He is everything to me. Honestly, everyone in this comment section will be celebrating Jeff's life and his amazing contribution to this earth. I'm crying while writing this because your title itself was heartbreaking. I cannot imagine the pain and loss you're going through, and I wish I could just make it go away. I wish I could bring Jeff back for you so that you could live the way that you used to. I hope you find the strength to live your best life for him and Jeff. It's up to you to keep him alive in spirit. Do it for him. He will watch over you every step of the way, and I'm sure he will be so proud of you. I'm just a stranger, but trust me, I send you all my love. Rest in peace, Jeff. Your presence will always be missed. Now for the update. I think I'll use my cake day to update this post. I cannot say thank you enough to the Reddit community. For years and years, I lurked on Reddit. I read almost every single day, but I didn't participate much. I had an old account for several years before I started this new one, which was supposed to be a throwaway account to ask a tricky financial question, but I like the name. As much as I enjoyed Reddit, I did not understand the spirit of the community until this post. I could feel you all when I could not feel much else. It was eye-opening and amazing, and I will forever be grateful to each one of you. I had more than 200 comments and about as many private messages. It feels like these messages literally gave me life in the very beginning. I was careful to only read a few dozen a day, trying hard to make the comfort last as long as they possibly could. I don't have the words to say how much comfort I received from Reddit after this post. I genuinely hope you never understand the depth of my gratitude, because that would require you to understand the depth of my misery. Reddit to me was truly miraculous, and because of you, I was doing good, like really good. Everyone kept saying it was a shock, but I knew it was all the love, prayers, support, and good thoughts that had come from the post that was keeping me afloat. I am still positive that this is the fact of the matter. I was rocking widowhood until around week 5, then it hit me like a freight train out of control. I completely lost my freaking mind. I stayed slightly insane and more than slightly drunk until my doctor prescribed me an antidepressant about 10 days ago. I'm starting to feel sort of human again. Well, human may be an overstatement, but I don't feel like I'm completely insane anymore, although subject to change without prior notification. When I finally gave in and went to my doctor, it was because I literally thought I had developed early onset dementia. For real, I am so worried about it for 2 weeks straight. I just kept thinking, OMG, this can't be happening. Our 3 adult daughters just lost their father, and now they are going to lose their mother to a memory care ward or an insane asylum. As it turns out, FYI, I tucked this away for the future just in case you might need this information. But apparently if you only sleep for 2-3 hours a night for several weeks straight, you start to lose your cognitive skills. I had no idea. I genuinely thought that I had gone insane. But back to you guys. I'm positive that without this post I could not have gotten through his memorial service. Tried to write the eulogy for 2 weeks. I bet I started 60 times. Then the very night before the service, on June 29th at like 2 a.m., I remember what I had written here. I took the post, reworded a few things, and added a bit more, and voila, I rocked the eulogy. I made it through the whole service without shedding a single tear, since it was going to be the first time that I've met some of her employees in person. I did not want to embarrass him by having smudged or streaked makeup. Not that dead people necessarily get embarrassed, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. I think I would have made him proud. I can't believe I'm still standing, to be honest, but I've actually managed to work 2 whole days in a row. Like full days. Although her company has continued to pay my salary, I've honestly been too much out of it to do a whole lot. Luckily, our 2 partners seem to be understanding. I am so looking forward to the day we are not. Every single thing reminds me of him. Tonight, a quick trip to Walgreens had me near tears because I saw candy corn on the shelf. It was the only candy he would ever eat, and only around Halloween. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. You'll never know how truly grateful I am. Also, for those wondering, since I did not know for certain when I first posted, the coroner's report came in a week or so after his passing. Sudden cardiac event. Story 2. My new husband just hit me, and now I'm thinking about an annulment. He went to work like nothing had happened. Now I can't stop trembling, and I have no idea what to do. We got married on Thursday in a very simple ceremony, and we have our tickets to go on a small honeymoon on Monday when he starts his time off work. But now I'm scared to go. I left my job at the start of the year because we moved to his town, which is pretty small. He didn't pressure me or anything. We both wanted this change. I was sick of the city I was born in and lived in my whole life. And I was living with my family who made my life HLL, so I wanted a new life too. The original idea was that I was going to get a new job here, but there's very few opportunities since it's a very small place. I'd been on the hunt for months and still nothing. I started feeling guilty because he was paying for everything, and I became less and less able to contribute over time. But since his new job pays him better than the one that he got back in the city, he reassured me that it didn't make much of a difference for him, and that I had all the time in the world to find a job. Please, if someone can tell me if it is right that I'm going to describe sets me off, because honestly I'm at a point where I don't know what's reasonable anymore. My situation got so bad that I was running off my vitamin D. I'm deficient. Tampons, deodorant, and other basic hygiene products, and I didn't have the money to buy it, so I asked him, and he was very nice and gave me the money. But since then he would always use a certain tone. always talk to me like I'm a child, not saying nothing directly, but more like passive aggression kind of thing. So I don't know if I'm overreacting, and I'm starting to feel like I could never say no to anything or make any decision or question him if I didn't like something since I was eating literally. He would demand I dress a certain way, and I didn't say anything. He wanted me to gain weight, and I did even when it didn't feel good. He wanted me to get my hair dyed a darker shade, and I did. He would ask me to do anything, and I would do it. And back to now, he smashed my head against the wall and choked me for like a minute straight because I was trying to tell him how I feel after he got mad. I didn't look happy enough since our wedding. Before that I'd mentioned I wanted to go back, and that's when he became insane and told me I was being ungrateful. Now he is gone, and my dad left me unseen on WhatsApp when I told him what happened. I'm now thinking about an annulment and Googling everything about it, but I can't feel sure in any steps they make, and I'm honestly not convinced that's the best route. No one has ever loved me like him. He is a sweet guy most of the time. He rubs on my back, he brushes my hair until I fall asleep every night to help with my sleep problems. He makes sure I'm eating well and feel motivated. I'm diagnosed with depression. Who will do that for me now? How am I supposed to get a lawyer with no money and no help? How am I supposed to look at my family in their faces and ask them to stay with them? How am I supposed to look him in the eyes again in love, knowing that the person who loved me the most hates me? Now for the update. Update. Wow, I got a ton of comments. Thanks to anyone. Now I'm more calmed down and trying to think. I feel like a lot of people say obvious things, but if you were in my shoes, you would understand it's not that easy. If I don't get an annulment, then the time frame that I can do that will end and I'll have to divorce instead, for which will cost a lot of time and money. And I will be legally required to see him again in front of a judge on various occasions. I got 7 hours until he comes home, and I'm planning carefully the annulment. But the person who was going to send me the money for me to get a ticket out of here and to pay for the legal fees for the annulment stood me up. She is my husband's stepsister, and I guess she just regretted helping me. She may or may not tell my husband about me reaching to her for help. I think she won't because at the end she is not a bad person. She just wants us to make up. I called shelters, but I don't have any resources to travel to the shelter that has a place waiting for me or again for the legal fees of the annulment, and I have no emotional support from anybody in my life. If I leave him, I would have to get used to the idea of being by myself in life. Start over and please don't judge if I say I'm not ready for that. Story 3. My older brother begged me to pay his bail today, but I am not going to do it. I was close with my brother when I was younger, but when I moved out and went to college we fell apart. I guess part of him resented me for doing what he wanted to do but never did, and I realized that he was a liar and a thief. My brother is very smart, but he never applied himself and relied on handouts from strangers and our family to get by. The final straw for me was about a year ago when he was living with our parents and started using them to get what he wanted. My parents were both old and failing in health, and they were in no position to care for my brother and his girlfriend and their too small house. When my parents finally got the courage to tell him to leave, he did leave, but not after stealing from them again, complaining about it and starting a huge argument, and then trying to destroy their reputations publicly and on social media because he felt it was unfair that he had to leave. Now my brother finds himself in jail awaiting trial again for some unexplained circumstances around the death of his girlfriend. No one really knows what happened except my brother, and I can't believe his story as he is a pathological liar. My mother now lives with me, and he has been calling my mother non-stop to try to get her to pay the bail. He doesn't even care that she recently had a huge medical scare and is currently recovering. All he cares about is how and when his bail is going to get paid. I haven't talked to him in about 3 years, but I imagine he was surprised when the call finally connected. But it was me he was talking to and not my mom. I listened to his story and his lies, but I simply can't take the risk that he won't try to run or skip court if I pay for his bail. We have, all of us, helped you so many times and built so many bridges to you, but you've destroyed them all and blamed it on us. I'm sorry, but you are on your own this time.